I have to admit that without the clones, it would not have been a victory.
Victory? Victory, you say? Master Obi-Wan, not victory. The shroud of the dark side has fallen. Begun. The Clone War has.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reivews.
Oh, Ewwan McCretor.
There's no smell mentioned in space in this movie.
Get him trashed in the third movie, episode 3.
Like drunk.
And then have him be...
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reivews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater good.
Was that
That was Yoda, but
Was that Kermit?
it could be, well, same person, right?
well, no.
Fozzie?
Didn't Frank Oz do it?
Frank Oz was the puppeteer. I don't think Frank Oz was the voice of Yoda.
Was he not?
I thought haven't we had this discussion? I feel like we have.
Hold on, was Frank?
Jim Henson
Hold on.
was the...
Oh, I see, voice of Yoda.
Oh no, you're
Voice
right. Yeah,
of
Frank
Yoda.
Oz is the voice of Yoda. I thought it
Take
was
that jerk.
I thought it was the other way around. I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. This is episode 346. And tonight we're talking about Attack of the Clones. Now, before I say one more word, I must say, guys, we have new intro music. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's very cool.
I know it's not as, flashy or whatever as is using licensed music, but we're not going to get sued over this.
Yeah.
Not that we would get sued over the other one, but we might. Who knows? But what we do know is that we won't for this because this is music written for us, specifically for us. Big thanks to Chris Lott for helping us out and writing that for us. So that's what it's going to sound like.
when you see that 343 previous episodes suddenly disappear from our library, you'll understand that legal has finally gotten to us.
Yeah, this is now episode 1. No, I'm just teasing. This is episode 346, and we're doing Attack of the Clones. I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew. Seismic charges are my favorite part of this movie, Jemison.
Yeah.
Well, being a sound guy, I can completely understand.
Yeah,
But aren't the seismic charges lack of sound, though?
I don't know. Well, they're in space. There's no sound anyway.
There shouldn't be any sound,
Yeah,
But there is a smell, apparently.
We did learn that from Futurama.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And it was never mentioned in this.
What?
Just thought I would throw that little nugget out there for anybody who cares. There's no smell mentioned in space in this movie.
Okay.
Keeping score at home.
Was there
What?
was there ever in question or in doubt?
I'm trying to deliver quality podcast material.
Oh, okay. Well, just keep trying, pal. We'll get there.
Yeah, something will stick.
Oh my gosh, this is funny. I have to pause for just a second. This is the funniest thing. I know I've already paused twice and it's our intro. So I just did a quick Google search of how they created the seismic charges. I wanted to know how they made the sound because it's a cool sound. And it sends me to the starwars.fandom.com, the wiki, the whatever, right? And on it, I'm on the wiki and it's got this seismic charge. It's behind the scenes. And literally next to it is the banner of the ads. And they were advertising the new Star Trek show, Lower Decks. There's like an irony there that the Star Trek is advertising on a Star Wars website. I think there's some fun there. Okay, sorry.
Nice.
Sam also won his wife by being super whiny and creepy Vector.
Well, I mean that's the only way to win them, isn't it?
Well,
It's gotta
that
be
or
as creepy
darts
as possible. Yeah.
at the fair. The game where you throw the darts at the balloons. That's the other way.
Yeah. Okay.
Or
Oh,
well,
okay.
sometimes the duck game where you pick up the duck and there's
A
something
wife
written
on the other
bottom.
end.
Yeah. So Sean,
Yeah.
if I were to somehow off you in this movie, I would simply, chain you to a chair, a nice, comfy, cheap chair, and just make you watch this movie over and over again until you hold your breath and pass out and die.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how this one will work.
Is that how that's going to work tonight?
Yes,
All
Yep.
right. That sounds,
unfortunately.
I guess, fine. Or maybe not. I don't know. And making his Cheap Seat Reviews debut. We've been doing this a lot recently, and I'm super excited. This is Eric. Used aggressive negotiations to get on this show, Maas.
That's the only tactic that works.
Right.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Welcome.
Good to have you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course, chose the best Star Wars movie possible for the first time. So,
Yeah.
Well, sometimes dumpster fires can be entertaining, and smell. So,
And smell.
well, not in space.
but not in space.
Just check out North Carolina's gas issue right now. It's a dumpster fire. And it
Yeah.
smells.
That we made ourselves. It's not like it's a real thing. It's just anyway.
Oh, you're talking about the petrol. I was talking about the body smell.
Oh yeah. That,
You know,
it is getting warmer
Gotcha.
out.
Oh.
So, yeah.
yeah, methane. North Carolina. We have a lot of it here. They say that it's the cows that are killing the ozone, but no, just come to North Carolina.
It's North Carolinians that's doing it. Oh, wow.
Oh, so what movie are we doing again? I cannot remember.
Attack of the Clones, episode 2.
That's right. That's
Attack
right.
of the Clones, which is, again, a weird name because they don't actually really attack. And for a movie called Attack of the Clones, the clones are only in the last 15 minutes of the movie. And
That's the build-up.
yeah, it is the build-up, but it just seems weird that, I don't know, it's just, it's like Age of Ultron. Well, he was only around for a couple of days, so can we call it the Age of Ultron? Can we call it the Afternoon of Ultron or something? I don't know. And I like that movie, but it's a bad name.
It's Tea Time with Ultron.
Yeah.
What would you retitle this one if you had to retitle it?
What did that kid do? He changed the name to this one, didn't he? He changed this one to... Was this? Oh, I can't remember.
I've slept since last week. I don't remember.
Well, we didn't discover what it was last week, but like this one was. It wasn't Revenge of the Sith. It wasn't. Was it Return of the? No, I can't remember. The Last Jedi? No, I don't remember.
Well, those are all taken.
No, I'm saying like this kid on TikTok created a video where he renamed the 9 movies with he
swapped out all the
names. He just swapped them,
right.
and it made way more sense.
I think this one was called The Subtle Side Push of Jar Jar.
He's very influential in this.
He is. Just way less of him, which is nice.
Yeah, this is why they subtly pushed him aside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the door. Get out.
Tone it down, J-Man.
Yeah, tone it down.
How glad is that actor that his face wasn't shown in these?
Right. Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, 2002's the Attack of the Clones. I forgot to give Andrew a heads up. Andrew, are you ready to tell us what is this movie then? What is this movie about in case by some chance you're listening to this show and don't know what it is?
10 years after initially meeting, Anakin Skywalker shares a forbidden romance with Padmé Amidala, while Obi-Wan Kenobi investigates an assassination attempt on the senator and discovers a secret clone army crafted for the Jedi. And I don't know what an assassination is.
Assassination.
That sounds like something Trump would say when his teeth are falling out.
I say, did Sean Connery
The
jump on
cream
this?
is coming loose.
Assassination.
United States.
Assassination.
That's great.
So there we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, if you listened to last week, you're a huge fan of these movies, you're probably one, a little mad at us, and two, probably yelled at your phone when I was confused as how Anakin went from 9 to 17 in 3 years when there's 10 years difference between the first one and the second one. And I had completely forgotten that. So I own it on that. I was wrong on that part.
Okay.
So there you go. There he goes. There's my. I'm just saying I own a mistake. Is all it is. If there's anything else I've been wrong about, and if anyone else besides Sam wants to, headed off at the pass on that one, then I'm all for, having that discussion. But that's fine.
Yeah. But really, what was this movie about? Do we really know? Was this?
I've seen this movie so many times. I'm still confused as to why the clones are even a thing.
Yeah.
I still don't know why. Who ordered them? Lord, I even wrote in my notes. Who was
Farquaad?
Who was Sifo-Dyas? Lord Farquaad.
That makes more sense.
Some of you may die.
And that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
I am willing to make.
Yeah, who was Sifo-Dyas? Do we ever know who that is?
No.
I don't understand how you can have a movie like Phantom Menace where there's still things I'm confused about with the trade routes and the Senate and and stuff, and then you introduce more things in this movie to make it equally confusing. This movie is confusing. It's Star Wars. It's supposed to be simple.
I go back to what I said earlier. I really think that as these movies were being made, Lucas just said randomly one day, you know what? I want to include cicadas that have big guns for no apparent reason, who actually work a factory. They earn a decent living, and let's not go over minimum wage. I think that's fine, but let's not let them have an audible language, and they can shoot sound at people. There we go. Let's do that. I feel like that's his thought process, and he just talks this out as he goes.
Yeah, he's making most of this crap up as he goes. It's brutal. It's we got Phantom Menace, and we had the excitement of Phantom Menace, and a lot of us came out of the damn it dog. I'll be back.
Well, it seems it would have been very simple to just shift and have the clones have them take over from Kamino, have them use the clones instead of all the droid army. And so then you're going to have really actually have Attack of the Clones. Just get rid of all the cicada people.
Yeah, well, so I guess there's one thing that I noticed this time in viewing that I hadn't in many other times is that I guess for some reason I missed the fact that there's a 10-year gap. But I kind of have a hard time understanding how the Chancellor, he's Chancellor for 10 years. So apparently that's a lifetime, position unless you get a vote of no confidence. How in the hell has no one done a vote of no confidence on the guy who allowed a civil war to start under his watch? It seems weird.
Eisenhower president for like 3 terms.
You have been paying attention for the past 5 years, yes, Sean?
Yeah, but yeah. No, I see.
Don't ask how they can allow things to happen.
I know, but it doesn't. I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense that. Because the whole separatist thing literally comes from the idea that Dooku has turned himself into a politician. In the eyes of the Jedi, by the way, they're like, "Oh, it's Dooku. He's a politician. He's not evil. He's just misguided." By the way, the Jedi are terrible judges of character. They're just
right.
They're all really bad at it. It's really kind of amazing. But
the idea is there though. It's an interesting idea, especially now that we've seen all the movies, we've gone back through them. You see kind of how he's trying to build up this story, right? Where the clones are coming in to save the day, and the droid army. If you think about it, the droid army with Dooku is almost the good guy in this case because they're fighting against the Emperor and the clones.
Except,
So,
except that the Emperor is paying them to do it, or is telling him to do the thing. So I mean,
well, yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. It's a big. I don't know this. I don't even know how he could have written it simpler, but the idea of the Chancellor and the mechanizations of what he's trying to do strategically, I think could have been better explained. But the problem is there's already so much exposition in a poorly directed movie that it's hard to. It's hard to keep adding on.
Yeah.
Of what they could have done differently.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like I understand that the Emperor needs to, or he's not the Emperor yet, but Palpatine needs one side to know, like the Sith side, Dooku. He's just telling Dooku, create a droid army, and you will, rally some star systems to your side, and it's going to cause some chaos so that I can control the Senate. And then he tells the Jedi side, hey, let's create a clone army so that we can combat this, Dooku, and so that we can have a civil war and therefore, bring these systems back in line by defeating the leaders of this army. And he doesn't tell both sides what's going on, obviously, because eventually what he needs to have happen is he needs Dooku to die, obviously, in order for this plan to work. He needs them to die so that when he takes over, he now has a clone army that's loyal only to him. So that's the long play, and I think the way I described it probably made sense. But it just feels like there's so much other things happening. It doesn't make sense. I still don't understand who Sifo-Dyas is. He was a real person who placed an order 10 years ago for. So are we saying that Palpatine pretended to be Sifo-Dyas and went to Kamino and ordered the clone army, and then went back to the Jedi Temple, and then removed the Kamino from the memory banks?
Obi-Wan seems to know who Sifo-Dyas is, though, right?
Yeah, he said he died 10 years ago.
Right.
So that's why I'm wondering if the Emperor pretended to be that, because he knew that person just died, and therefore there would be no paper trail, I guess. I don't know. I mean...
Right.
Well, and here's the thing. I think by this point, we knew Palpatine was going bad, right? I mean, it was the worst kept secret in the entire franchise, is that Palpatine was going to be the Emperor eventually. Explain it a lot quicker. Explain it in the first act of the movie, and then show us how he is manipulating both sides. Therefore, you eliminate a lot of this during confusion, and show his brilliance, or show what he's doing, for his strategy. So it's just a bad directorial decision.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing mostly at your dog, Sam, because it sounds like it's your tummy growling, but I know it's your crazy dog.
She's insane tonight. I don't know what her problem is. I'm letting her bite my hand so that she'll shut up. So
well, there's that's nice of you. You want to go ahead and do your 5-word review, Sam?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull it up here, and I've got 2. And I've got the first one is it's just the worst, and then on top of that is worst movie of the franchise.
All right.
And I hate this movie. I hate it with a passion. It angers me even when I watch this. If Phantom Menace angered me last time, this one is twofold. It's just, or threefold. It's simply poorly directed, poorly acted, poorly written, and only John Williams can come in every now and then and pump us up with some music. And even this one didn't really have the Duel of Fates version from Phantom that we all got hyped up on. So it's a bad movie, and it's a completely miserable movie. That's all I got to say.
Now after seeing the Disney, well, and it didn't start with Disney, I guess, but the animated versions of the Clone Wars and Rebels, I really feel like this story could have been told better in an animated format. And I think they did
episodic.
or episodic, more so than this, because if you look at this film, it is in episodes. You know, you can see where this is clearly 4 or 5 episodes broken up and stuck together.
If you had to describe the 3-act system that most movies go by, this one would not. You wouldn't be able to really clearly define the lines between the 3 acts.
Well, the Clone Wars basically did the whole episodic thing, and much better, right? I know I haven't actually seen any of that yet, but I hear it's just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, the Clone Wars is good. I know Sam has suffered through season 1, and you do that. You have to suffer through season 1 to get to the good of seasons, 2 through 7. I mean, 5 through 7 are really, really, really good stuff. And we mentioned last week, the series has kind of made the movies better, because what we get in the cartoon is that we actually get faces and emotions and characters in these clones. Right now they might as well just be stormtroopers, because we don't care about them. And we get a little bit of closure with some of them in the next movie, but not really. I mean, the cool ones we don't get to meet Rex, not really in the next movie. I know we see Cody a little bit, but for the most part we don't get their resolution or their whatever, which is whatever. It's fine. But yeah, the cartoons are good. The movies are. And so we did this last week. I want to do this again. This was kind of fun. The first time we all saw this in the movie theater, I saw this with our good friend Chris Barton, and I drove to Charlotte with my then girlfriend, now wife, and we watched this opening night. And I remember when Yoda walked into the scene at the end to fight Dooku, our theater lost its collective mind.
Oh, yeah.
When he picked up his lightsaber and started jumping around, it was people were cheering and standing and clapping. You couldn't hear what was happening because of the people were losing their minds. And honestly, I was with them. I was laughing, and because it was so neat to see that this character who needs a cane to walk can hop circles around Dooku. It was just really neat. But he still kind of loses the fight, which is annoying. But
yeah, but I think that's what being introduced to him in 4, 5, and 6. And I'm sure everyone, well, not maybe everyone, but a lot of people know who Yoda is going into this movie, and that's what they want to see. It was fan service to the max, but it was, in my opinion, it was awesome fan service, because I had the same exact experience. I was in the theater with my friends. I was a junior in high school, I guess, senior in high school. I can't remember. And so anyway, I remember sitting in the theater. People were dressed in Star Wars garb. There were lightsabers, the toy light up lightsabers in there, and which was kind of annoying. But but the same thing happened. He came out and he started just whipping ass, and everybody just went berserk, and it was nuts. And it was such a cool experience. Does it save the movie? No. but it was an awesome experience.
Right on. Since you're talking there, Andrew, why don't you go ahead and give us your 5-word review?
All right. Well, I have a couple. Droid puns cause eye rolls.
I'm beside myself. Yeah.
And I remember, speaking of remembering seeing this in the movie, opening night, I remember literally going, "Oh, really? Like, do we have to have another pun?" And this kind of writing is what's in the first season of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you can tell George Lucas has his hands all over this. And it's bad. Stop trying to be funny for the sake of being funny. If it's not organic, don't let it happen. My second 5-word review is Holy Bear Midriff Batman.
Yeah.
Well, they had to do something to compete with the slave Leia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dynamic.
And then the last one, I had 3. The last one I have is I'm okay with CGI Yoda. And I know those are fighting words for a lot of people, but a lot of people say, Puppet Yoda is just the best Yoda, and we should have never had CGI Yoda. But I thought that the CGI Yoda in these movies was not bad. You could see expression a little bit better, I thought. I know people argue that fact, but you could have never had a fight scene like that with a puppet.
I wonder if a 2021
Yeah, 2021 sounds great.
I wonder that too.
Yeah, I often wondered about the year that.
Well, let me ask you, how do you feel about, because they went back and changed Puppet Yoda from Episode 1 to CGI Yoda, correct?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? He
doesn't do anything; he just sits there, so I didn't care either way.
Yeah, I think that could have been a puppet, and nobody would have cared.
Well, he was a puppet, and no one cared. The only reason why they made it CGI is because they wanted to be the continuity to be same. What were you saying, Sam? Before your dog ate you or something?
No, that one was a dead battery. Oh, damn sorry, I've got to go. The dog is dragging stuffed animals out of my daughter's room.
It's dragging the daughter out of her room.
Yeah. All right. Well, you go deal with that. Eric, do you have a 5-word review?
I do. I guess I have 2 and then a quick one. First, dear God, make it stop. And to go along with that, I love it so much. So there are some of my favorite scenes in Star Wars in this movie, even though I can't stand this movie, and I haven't watched it in its entirety in years. I usually have a standard protocol to skip many of the scenes, so it's a lot more enjoyable. But like the seismic charges and the whole arena scene towards the end are some of my favorites, and of course the Yoda scene at the end. I mean, it's good Star Wars.
That arena scene, I want more of that. That's another thing that this movie, this franchise, is called Star Wars. And we, throughout these 9 movies, have seen star battles and star skirmishes and star flick you off in traffic. But have we seen a war, in its entirety, and seeing these Jedi, this immense number of Jedi? That's fan service. That's what we wanted. But we got, a minute of it? A minute and a half of it?
Yeah, but was it too much? To me, I thought it was too much.
The arena.
Yeah. I maybe.
Was it because it was in the arena? If it were, done like Lord of the Rings or Avengers Endgame, if it were done that way, would that have been too much, or what do you think?
See, that's a good question. I don't know if it was. There was so much happening on the screen, and especially with the lightsabers. And if you got to think, from the original trilogy, the lightsabers were very seldom used, right? It was a thing that they used just every now and then. Luke, for God's sake, barely used his lightsaber in most of the movies, and did it all mostly in the third one.
Well, all the lightsabers, it's supposed to add to the spectacle, but I could see how it's too much during the arena scene.
I don't mind the arena scene. I think it kind of shows the chaos of battle and whatever. The only part that annoyed me is, this is going to sound messed up, but I don't really care. Sam Jackson has a kill shot on both of the 2 heavies in the scene. He puts the lightsaber across Fett to kind of stop him. Dooku was the threat, not him. I just, and then when the super battle droids show up, he turns to fight them. If you take out Dooku, there is no Clone War. it's so annoying. I know you have to have it. So if you're going to have the war, then don't give Sam Mother effing Jackson an opportunity to kill both of the heavies. Now, he does kill one, and that's fine, but it's just, I don't know. That has always annoyed me. There's a scene, you said, Eric, you have not seen the Clone Wars, right?
Bits and pieces.
There's a really great scene where, I think, is Sam still off? Okay. So there's a great scene where basically a bad guy has taken hostage someone that is near and dear to Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan has his lightsaber trained on him. And he says, you have two choices. Either you let me kill her and she dies, or you kill me and then she thinks you a monster because you resorted to killing. And then just as he's about to pull the trigger, a lightsaber comes through his chest, and it's Anakin. And he's like, "What are we waiting on? Let's go!" Like, because he doesn't care.
Yeah,
right.
And so it's like, Anakin is kind of useful in these moments sometimes, and I kind of wish that I don't know. It just that was an annoying part, but I didn't mind the spectacle of the arena of the honestly the last once. The Jedi show up. Once Sam Jackson shows up, from that point on, I'm having a good time with the movie. That's where I'm finally settled in going, oh, okay, this feels like Star Wars again. And that's when I'm
like the Young and the Restless moment?
I don't like... You mean them rolling around in the fields? It's so icky. If Melissa were here from last week, she would say it was icky. All of the Anakin... Okay, here's... Well, okay, did you do a 5-word review, Eric? I honestly don't remember.
I did.
Okay. Oh yeah, you said you liked them. Yeah.
I had another one.
Yeah, go ahead.
That is basically just how much did Padme pack? It goes along with all those lovey scenes. She's outfit after outfit after outfit after outfit.
Well, it's her home planet.
It's
her home.
Well, they're supposed to be hiding. And she's got those two little suitcases. It's a little ridiculous. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. She has an outfit for each moment of the day. Not just each day, but here is let's go into the field. We're not picnicking. We're just going to go into the field and just sit here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
get your field outfit.
Yeah, and then we have our let's talk about sand outfit. And then we have we're going to eat our pear outfit. And then we're going to sit by the fire outfit. I mean, you're not wrong. It's all ridiculous.
They got to sell toys somehow.
I guess. The whole thing
sucked. Pause on this for just a moment.
No.
Because I was, like I said, 11th grade, maybe 12th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie Portman in this movie, a hard crush.
Oh, sure.
A hard crush on this one. First one, I thought, whatever. Kind of forgettable. Kind of 80s actress-ish. But this one, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and she's our age. And that's totally fine to say that. Yes, she's very attractive. And not just when she gets, when she's showing off her belly when she has the scratch thing happen. But, I mean... In all of her moments, she's very attractive, and she's doing a much better job acting, I think, in this movie.
She's probably the better actor in the movie than anyone else.
Like I mentioned when I posted the picture of this week's episode, she's desperately trying to lift up this poorly bad movie. So, yeah, she's at least, I don't know, a shining light. Her midriff is like a Care Bear. It helps.
Now, I will say in episode 3, which I'm sure we'll talk about next week.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Oh, you think?
Okay.
Yeah, she kind of lets us down in that one, but that's another story. We'll save that for later.
Okay. My 5-word was pretty, convoluted, whiny, yet fun. And I mean, yet fun, literally, like the last. I liked the car chase at the beginning with the thing. The car chase is kind of fun. And I like the ending. I have fun with it. I think it's fine. It feels like Star Wars. The seismic charges chase scene in the asteroid field is pretty fun. I like that too.
So, but let me get you back to the car chase.
Okay, yeah.
How did he know exactly which car to fall out of the sky on?
I don't know. He's a Jedi. He knows things. It doesn't make sense. Right? It doesn't make sense that the one car goes to the left and he goes straight and has somehow climbed 6 miles above them.
Yeah. And also they've killed the assassin after a very, very significant car chase. You know, very high speed car chase, right? Yeah. And then they look over their shoulder and, there goes Boba Fett. But you know what? We'll let him go. It's okay. It is very slow jetpack lifting off from the site. So in my mind, once again, Lucas sucks.
Well,
Lucas totally sucks. You remember at telling a story in this stupid movie.
I have to play this.
Not a great plan.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Sidious says to his apprentice Dooku, says, "Lord Dooku, I want you to go kill Padmé Amidala." And he's like, "All right, cool. Well, I can't do it myself, so I'm gonna hire a bounty hunter. Hey, bounty hunter guy, I need you to kill Padmé." He's like, "Yeah, no problem." I can't do his accent. "Yeah, no problem. So I'm going to hire another bounty hunter." So he says, "Here, you go kill Padmé." And then she's like, "Okay." And he goes, "But don't do it yourself. Use these space worms." And then she does.
I was expecting the space worms to go hire out some sort of rats to bite her on the
were or something. They were grubs. Let's get it right. They were grubs.
Space grubs.
Space grubs. Yeah. They look like space centipedes that were aware of alerting droids. R2 makes a noise and they go, "Ooh, don't move. We better hide."
But you've got a sharpshooter in Boba Fett. A sharpshooter, right? I mean, he's Boba Fett, for God's sake.
They can shoot.
And
well, he's Jango Fett, but yeah.
Or Jango, sorry.
Yeah.
And she's in a windowed room that apparently the window is not that strong because Obi-Wan just jumps right through it.
Yeah.
Well, there was a force field around that window.
Yeah, but the little ship, ship thing,
Yeah.
If the ship thing drops in there a bomb, like a thermal detonator instead of worm things, and by the way, your security system has gaping holes if you can drop things into it and the little bars that are going horizontally across, why would they ever not always be solid? Why does it have to go back and forth? It should just be a solid grid. I don't understand. If this person who clearly has people trying to kill her, I mean, the person trying to kill her is so sinister that they let their ship fly all the way from Naboo to Coruscant before blowing it up. Because it's not like they hit it with a missile. It was a bomb clearly on the ship. And they're such a dick that they're going to make you go all the way there and think that you survived before.
Man, they're probably all stretching from having to sit so long, and that's just insult to injury.
And I just feel bad for all the people.
What it was is they didn't have Wi-Fi while they were traveling, and they weren't able to reconnect until they landed.
No, that's pretty right. It's a Wi-Fi bomb.
But there's again, she's apparently the bait, right? Mm-hmm. And yet Anakin's like, "Yeah, I'll let her sleep in peace while I'm not in the room with her and next to a window in a very busy city." But don't worry, R2's in there apparently sleeping.
Yeah, like R2's not even really on the job either.
It's so
what does he need to do? Why does he need to sleep? It's R2.
He's a Tesla. He's got to charge it.
I guess. Just tell Kenny Baker to wake up. He's got a job to do. Jeez.
Yeah, it's
Can we talk about Hayden Christensen for just a moment?
Okay.
Sure.
I've never hated an actor more than I hate Hayden Christensen in this movie. Do I think he's a fine actor in other things?
No, you don't.
No, I don't. But
what else has he done?
Well, remember
he did Jumper.
We
right?
did it. We liked him okay in Jumper. He was fine in Jumper.
But I want to punch him right square in the tooth. Like he just
Well,
The
no, is
most
that good
annoying
acting, though?
character. No.
He's trying to be that way.
Well, I mean, they ruined a lot of things for Star Wars in this movie. Jedi being OP, but yet not at the very end, right? Or I'm sorry, but yet not in the next movie. And then you've got R2D2 running around like a freaking RoboCop, being able to do everything that
Those
we've
rockets.
never seen him do. I'm so.
I don't.
Yeah,
You know what? I don't have a problem with them introducing new powers as things go. I'm okay with little.
But why give some? I understand Jedi power. I totally understand because Luke doesn't know what he's doing, and Obi-Wan's old, right? So that gives them an excuse to bring us some cool Jedi stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when you have a character like R2, why isn't he flying around in some of the situations? Why isn't he shocking all these different things? Why isn't he using a flamethrower? Why isn't he doing all these different things in future movies that he could do in these first three?
It's because once you reach a certain age, you go through what's called robopause, and you can't do the same things that you could do before.
I mean,
and it's a natural thing. You can't have little baby robots anymore.
Or at least get him trashed in the third movie, episode 3,
like drunk,
and then have him be. Well,
take R2 to the bar.
Maybe when
give him
with
some
the type of
schnapps and
humor
Tito
that we've seen in these movies, I wouldn't put it too far past a drunk robot, but I mean, like, get him wrecked, get him where he is just totally gutted except for maybe his memory, and then have him re-upfitted for the next one.
Well, that's
so
why,
that you take away some of these things.
When we'll get to it in the next movie, that's how we get around C-3PO not remembering who anyone is, because they say they're going to wipe his memory. And I actually kind of like the idea of like R2 on the battle of the last planet with the lava and stuff. Like if Anakin legit like F's him up somehow and like by accident, right? Like R2 is like all effed up, and so they basically have to rebuild him. I like the idea of that. What's going on, computer? I just got an alert on Skype saying switch to audio only, poor connection. I don't care. I don't care if you guys can't hear me well. As long
Not this time.
That's dumb. Whatever. Anyway, what does matter is, let's see. Never noticed this before, but Django bumps his head on the door on the way getting into his ship.
Oh, yeah.
Never noticed that before. You can hear a sound, too. It's a pretty loud sound.
Yeah.
I'd never noticed that before. I had this conversation with my wife. We watched this with the kids, and I'm going to let Declan, my son, tell you next week how he feels about the 3 Star Wars movies that he's seen to this point. He's 8, and his opinion is he's an 8-year-old. But I asked my wife about this, and my biggest issue with the movie is I don't understand what Anakin has done to earn Padmé.
Okay. Yeah.
Like you see a lot of movies where the two people that ultimately fall in love, they start off rocky, and through trials and tribulations, they grow together and whatever. But in this movie, she starts off, she's like, "Hey, you're that little annoying kid I remember from the junkyard. Stop looking at me. You're creepy." Oh, I guess she doesn't like it when I'm spying on her in her bedroom asleep. Why would anyone be uncomfortable with that?
Don't forget the conversation he has about killing women and children. And,
well, I wasn't even
killed the children.
Yeah,
and then she's like, "Oh, that's such a sweet story. I just want to make out with you now."
Even before that point, we still have they have to get to Naboo, and so there's a couple of awkward scenes to Naboo, and then when he's there, right, he's all the whole sand thing, which you're all smooth and unwanted touching, and then they have the roll in the hay in the field, and all of a sudden it just seemed to go from 0 to 10 and then she like rebukes him or whatever, and then he goes and murders all these Tusken people, and she's like, at some point she should have been like, hey, Jedi Order, I need a new guy because this one is obviously broken.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because it's not really anything other than his Schwartz is as big as mine.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, I guess, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's got to be because I mean, it sounds gross, or whatever, but there's nothing likable about this character, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, by the way, I love you. What? He hadn't earned that.
We witnessed the most forced relationship in all of movie history in this movie.
And
There's no chemistry.
And I don't know about Eric, but I know that at least the three of us have at least watched Hallmark movies. I mean, and those are more organic than this.
Yeah, it's just so bad.
It is bad, and I don't understand why it had to be. There's so many movies where the hero at the end, even like in the movie Speed, they make fun of it, right? Where she's like, relationships based on intense situations don't last. He goes, okay, well then what do you want to do? Then we'll just have to base our relationship on sex. Like they're making fun of the trope.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think if this movie were made now, post Me Too, do you think it would be the same?
No. I really don't.
Yeah. Because as I was watching this again, I thought, yeah, this doesn't fly today. This doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
Post Me Too.
And I'm okay with the idea of the protector and the protectee falling in love. I know with the whole witness thing, whatever. Like I'm okay with that. But give us some redeeming qualities. Let us see, and maybe it's part of the Hayden Christensen is just such a stiff and awkward kid. Maybe, if we get a young charismatic, whatever, someone that's, I don't know, just someone that seems likable. There's nothing very likable. And the moments where he's in pain, because we have to show that he's in pain, then don't show those moments to Padme. Like have him hide those moments from her.
Yeah, and it would make better storytelling. It's
because then
just.
And then Yoda, what the F? He's like, Anakin is in pain. And we never go back to that moment.
Yeah.
Yoda's like, he's in serious pain. He's in agony. Okay, what should we do about it? Nothing. It's fine.
Just let him be.
It's fine.
It's teenage angst.
Yeah. Oh, is he with a protectee? Someone that's like people are trying to kill? I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, again, all of the Jedi are terrible judges of character. Even Anakin tells Obi-Wan, I'm intoxicated by her. And he's like, dude, you need to be careful. You made an oath. He should have then gone to Yoda or anyone and be like, I think Anakin still has a crush on Padme. Maybe they shouldn't be alone together. I don't understand these people.
Oh yeah, as they're loading that transport ship, and there was that Captain Banaka and Obi-Wan are talking about how they're worried about they're going to try stuff, and they just let them go.
Yeah.
Isn't Banaka some sort of mouthwash or mouth spray?
Yeah. Was that Captain? Was that
Banakan?
Was that the same dude? I thought it was a different guy. It was a different actor.
Isn't that Captain Banaka?
Well, I mean, it was a different actor, and he had an eye patch. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's Lawrence Fishburne.
It's not Lawrence Fishburne.
It's Morpheus.
You guys have any other notes?
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
do. I have another note here.
His name is Captain Typho.
Typho.
It was a typo,
Yeah.
but they just kept it.
Yeah.
Wait, who's Captain Banaka then?
He's from Phantom Menace.
Yeah. So the other thing I have that no one's mentioned yet. One day I was on Facebook, and I know we're old, so we still use Facebook, but the Facebook post came up one day, and this was from an elderly person that probably has no business being on Facebook. But she posted a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi from this movie and said, if you love and praise and are thankful for this man, then you should celebrate Jesus with the rest of us
and share or something like
and
that. Right?
reshare.
Yeah.
Like and reshare. And this is when I think this is the first real misinformation that ever happened on Facebook, because
and the only one too.
People thought that this was someone had dressed up as Jesus and taken this picture, and that's where this character came from, and they just shared it like wildfire. And it was crazy how many people were like, "Yep, I love it," which is great. I love Jesus too. But I'm not going to post a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi and call him Jesus. I'm just not going to do that. So this movie brought us the Jesus meme.
Yeah, and even Ewan McGregor didn't quite lift this movie. Right? It's just so poorly written that the actors like Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor couldn't get this out of the ditch.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What are you calling him? I can't quite understand what you're saying.
What's that?
What is Obi-Wan? What is
Natalie
his real,
Portman?
What is his real? Yeah.
Natalie Portman?
No. Obi-Wan Kenobi's character, actor.
Oh, Ewan McGregor.
McCretor. That's interesting. Okay. McCracker. McCracken?
Right?
I think he did a great job of emulating Obi-Wan, though. But I mean, acting is so stiff. But
you talking about Sam?
But see, here's the problem, though.
No, Ewan McGregor.
Oh, McGregor. Oh, that guy. Yeah. Okay.
Ewan McGregor.
McGregor. I love it. It's like Padmé from last week.
But Lucas kind of he drew himself into a corner with the Jedi because they almost have to be this monkish, no nonsense, almost Spockish in their ways in terms of logic and not using emotion to do things. And yet he made 3 movies about Jedis that
had emotions.
And Ewan is just he was the only Jedi that was showing at least any kind of emotion. He got annoyed with Anakin. He got upset. He made rash decisions by jumping out a freaking window. Ewan did so much against what the code tells him to do. It was, it's no wonder that Anakin wasn't taught well, because Ewan as Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't, he wasn't a great Jedi to begin with. I hate to say it.
Well, he never finished his training, right? Because Qui-Gon
did die early.
Yeah, they kind of pushed him through.
Yeah.
He was grandfathered into the Jedi.
Well, I will say this movie has more awkward conversations between the two of them than Thanksgiving at my house, right? Like,
amen.
There are so many moments where Anakin's like, well, I want to do this. And he's like, no, you will know your place. And and the director is showing the actors responding with these awkward looks like, oh, are they really going to have this fight in front of us? Should we leave? I don't know. They're Jedi. Right. I guess they can still hear us.
And yet now I understand through the Cult Wars or Clone Wars, sorry, the TV show, that they become good friends, and the he's like my brother becomes more meaningful, later on because you see that relationship. But this one, this it doesn't show me that they're brothers. It shows me that Obi-Wan is just really annoyed with his Padawan most of the time. That in fact, to the point where it feels like he just doesn't want him around.
Well, they've been together 10 years at this point. I mean, they should be brothers.
Yeah. Right? Well, and like I said, Clone Wars, and I think Andrew mentioned it earlier, that it tells a better story because it's long form, because it can take its time. And I think maybe they did the wrong thing here. Put it on HBO Max or Disney Plus, like Mandalorian's doing, although they didn't have the option back then.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't, we weren't into that back then. I know why. I mean, I understand why it had to be movies, because that's what was popular, and the other 3 were movies. I understand that. But you're not, no one's speaking untruths here, in that they have 10 years of history together. 10 years
Yeah.
of moments where he says, I got to save your life again. No. That time with the thing doesn't count. More of that stuff, right? Tell me more. Give me more of those moments. I don't necessarily have to see them, but you're right. It does feel like I mean, we have this one kind of moment where Obi-Wan's scolding him, don't lose your lightsaber, it's your life. And then he says, the line, you're going to be the death of me. And he says, don't say that. You're the closest thing I have to a father. And he says, well, then why do you not listen to me? Which is, I'm sure, a phrase that we as fathers have all said. But
Amen.
But it's just like,
They
don't feel like brothers. Now, the Clone Wars, you
No.
get way more of that. We get more of the relationship of why we see that, they are brothers. And this, which is, helpful. I was going to say something, but I realized Sam hasn't watched it and I don't want to spoil anything. But it's just...
Do you think that Lucas knew that these movies had a bunch of issues, and that's why we went on to have the Clone Wars and other mediums of...
No, I think he legitimately thought he was doing the best thing he could. Obviously, because these movies came out like this
after the fact.
I don't think he cares. He's just wants to do.
That's true.
He wants
to do what he wants to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't let anybody touch him. I mean.
Yep.
See, if he would have just taken that stance with Padme and Anakin, then we wouldn't be in this problem. Anyway. I don't have anything else I think that I want to talk about before we get to clips.
I think the monster design in the pit was the worst.
I don't care. They're fine. It's whatever. I
thought it was dumb that they had 3 completely different types of monsters against 3 different, and like each monster decided to choose a certain person, and then and then continued. It just
the monsters, those things were fine. I will say this: Star Wars is dick to animals. Like the universe is a dick to animals. It's not just the fact that Obi-Wan had to kill the big green praying mantis. He had to chop off its 2 arm thingies and then kill it. It's just they're kind of dicks to animals. But whatever they are. The last thing I wrote, my last note was, I do like the shots of the Clone Wars in the sandstorm fighting. So when all this dust is flying, and like you're getting the shots physically, like the bullets or whatever flying through the sand, and you see like the reflection of it. It's a really cool shot, and I remember it from the trailer, which is what got me super excited. So anyway,
yeah.
Time for a couple clips. Here we go. Oops. Clippy clips. Time for this.
We will find out who's trying to kill you, Padme. I promise you.
We will not exceed our mandate, my young Padawan learner.
I meant it in the interest of protecting her, Master, of course.
We will not go through this exercise again, Anakin. And you will pay attention to my lead.
Why? What? Why else do you think we were assigned to her if not to find the killer? Protection is a job for local security, not Jedi. It's overkill, Master. Investigation is implied in our mandate.
We will do exactly as the Council has instructed. And you will learn your place, young one.
And yet, he's the one that jumps out the freaking window.
Yes. Again, Obi-Wan is just not the Jedi we think of in this movie. Or that we've been led to believe. Once you start looking at his reactions and his actions, you realize that he goes, I would say, almost against the Jedi Council more than Anakin.
Yeah, and so there's no wonder that his Padawan is rebellious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Agree.
Yeah. All right. Time for some more creepy stuff.
What's going on? She covered the cameras. I don't think she liked me watching her.
And
you think?
That could have been taken out of yesterday's news.
And the funny thing is, like, and then Anakin just blows by it, right? Anakin goes, well, what is she thinking? He should have been like, why were you watching her? I mean, that's what I would have said. Like,
Yeah.
That's not what they're for. You're not supposed to watch her. Was she getting naked? Like, what's happening? I don't know. I have said this several times in my life.
And don't forget, she's a politician and they're not to be trusted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have literally said that before.
Yeah. Does it make anybody else cringe when they're having the conversation on the little, I don't want to say the helicopter, but when they're chasing after somebody and Anakin wants to go help her because he loves her, right? And Obi-Wan basically says, "Shut up and do what you're told."
Mm. Yeah.
And again, just another reason why Obi-Wan is a jerk.
He kind of does suck in this movie. He's kind of the first movie I said he's kind of a dick. He's like, oh look, another pathetic life form, and then in this movie he's kind of a dick to Anakin.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, though, Anakin deserves it most of the time because it's Hayden Christensen and he needs to be slapped. But there's just a lot of things that don't make sense in terms of his motivations.
Yeah. Okay. Foreshadowing.
Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
There you
go. Yep.
Little that. The line everyone knows from this movie.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
I say that every time I go to the beach.
Yep, I agree with him, actually.
I started, I was really hoping he would say it gets in every crease and cranny. And then when you walk, it makes the inner thighs look like red Swedish fish. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Okay, time for... Oh, I've never understood this. I looked for it in the trivia, and I couldn't find it. Can anybody shed some light? Any Star Wars fan that's listening can shed some light what this means?
R4, Scrabble Code 5 to Carson, care of the old folks home.
Care of the old folks home? What does that mean?
What?
That's the Star Wars nursing home.
Okay.
Yeah. Which it's Shady Acres on Tatooine.
Is that what it is? 'Cause,
yeah.
Okay. I've never understood that. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know. Every time I hear it, I'm who was the old care of the old folks home? What does that mean? I don't know.
I don't know that that's what he says.
What is he saying then?
I don't know
we
why
might
he
need
would say.
some subtitles there.
Yeah.
R4,
I think this is the game of
Scrabble Code 5 to Carson, care of the old folks home.
That sounds like care of the old folks home.
Care of the old folks home. No, I totally see it.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Yeah, let's figure this out.
Attack of the Clones, care of the
old folks home.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Google
Care
should
of-
know, right?
Care of the old folks home. All right,
Which is basically the Jedi Council.
The old folks home in the Wikipedia. R4 Scramble Code 5 to Coruscant, care of the old folks home. Old folks home was a code name used by the Jedi to refer to the Jedi Temple, commonly by the field agents on assignments or investigations.
Really?
So I heard
look
it.
at that, I was right.
So I heard it right for once.
It's a code name for the Jedi Temple.
That's terrible.
What can we call this? Lucas, give us something real quick. We need a code name for the Jedi Temple. Well, let's call it the old folks home. Is that what you want us to say? We can put that in the movie. I don't think that's going to be good. No, do it. It's fine. We had Jar Jar. This won't be any worse.
Well, people
It's
know.
got to be a retroactive explanation. Like,
yeah. Is he really mouthing those words? Oh,
yeah. I guess I don't know. It's hard to tell.
That pisses me off.
Yeah.
Jedi Knight
so
Obi-Wan.
angry.
They both used the code name while on assignment prior to the outbreak of the Clone Wars. They use. I'm trying to find where they used it. I don't know. Oh, it's used in the novelization of the movie, as well as the first appearance was in the Star Wars Jedi Starfighter game.
But see, give us a reference for God's sake. That could have been a funny little inside joke.
I guess it was an inside joke. If you played the game, then that's more fan service, right?
Give us a Jedi with a walker. Give us somebody.
You mean a little green one with a cane?
Most of them were old,
somebody
but
who's,
they were all
whose
old folks.
Colostomy bag is being changed in the middle of the Jedi meeting. Like,
so what was the humor in this movie?
Well, hold on. Before we go there, Andrew, there is, if you remember from the Clone Wars, there literally is an old Jedi that Ahsoka has to babysit, basically, or he babysits Ahsoka, and he's like older than Yoda and walks with the cane and all that stuff too. So
that's true, but I don't remember them using the term "old folks' home."
They don't.
Maybe they.
I don't think they used it in the cartoon. So you asking Sam what is the humor in this movie? I can tell you what it's supposed to be.
Right, there's some of the the C-3PO losing his head and things like that, but I don't do any of the main characters, main characters being in quotations, do they have funny moments?
No, intentionally.
Right, this is such a lack of humor. There's such a lack. It just bothers me.
There's hang in there. There's a couple of moments I didn't capture it and I should have. But like, you want to buy some death sticks? No, you don't want to sell me this. Oh, I don't want to sell you death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life. I want to go home and rethink my life. Like that's supposed to be funny. Like
but
that,
is it? Well,
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it's supposed to be. And Sam was asking, was there funny moments with the main characters? And yes, there is. Now, to be fair, this movie and the next one are very dark. It's the darkest Star Wars gets. So there's not going to be a lot of humor, even though yes, there is humor in in Empire Strikes Back, and that one's kind of the dark one of that trilogy.
There still can be humor.
There's
in
still a little
movies.
bit of there's still a little bit of humor with Yoda, but mainly Yoda's just giving Luke shit.
Luke a hard time.
Yeah.
But you also have Han, who is funny, is a funny character to begin with.
They smell bad on the outside. Yeah.
Well, the target age of this movie is confusing because you get these moments with this really terrible comedy that is clearly geared towards little kids. I mean, my kids love those scenes, but then you get those really heavy moments where Anakin's slaughtering all the Sand people and his mom dying and all these things. Like, I can't watch those scenes with my kids. So is it for kids? Is it for adults?
Padme losing half her shirt was not for my 8-year-old son.
No.
Well, it is, but
but he doesn't care,
Yeah.
Even to the point that
Jango Fett losing his head.
Yeah,
right.
That scene with Boba holding his head.
Well, he's holding his helmet.
That's pretty dang dark.
He's holding the helmet. He's not holding his head. His head falls out. You see the shadow.
Okay.
Oh, I've never noticed that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Just Google Jango Fett head shadow, and it'll show you. It shows as the helmet is coming off and it's falling down. You see the shadow of the head flying out of the helmet.
Man, that's worse.
Yeah. So
did you hear the music in the background as that happened?
No.
They see me rolling.
Nice.
You didn't hear that?
Speaking of music,
it's very lightly.
Speaking of music, so John Williams is great, and it's always great. But Sam mentioned that he was wanting the next version of Duel of the Fates, which Duel of the Fates is what we got for this trilogy, and that's fine. But you mentioned last week there was too much John Williams in the next couple movies, and Anakin is just riding a speeder, and we're getting Duel of the Fates, and I thought, really?
Right? Okay.
I just thought,
so I wasn't totally off base with that.
No,
but I totally agree.
I didn't notice it before until you said something, and then I was like, oh yeah, why do we have to have the greatest piece of music that was written in the 90s, right? And then from the first movie, and he's just riding a speeder. He might as well be going to get groceries or something. I don't know. It's just
it's too much. It's like a lot of this movie. There's just too much. Simple. Got to make it simple. Got to make it a little less confusing. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming John Williams. It was the music that he had from the first movie, and I'm blaming George Lucas for sticking it in that moment. What were you going to say, Eric?
No, I agree. I have a note for that as well, that the music just doesn't match the cadence of the scenes. I mean, it's just way too intense. And it's supposed to make you feel it, and it's just way off base.
Yeah, and then the fact that they should have just played yakety sax during the whole the scene in the
factory
the
scene?
factory, yeah.
And once again, we talk about a movie where it doesn't feel lived in. It doesn't feel like it's hard and an actual object, right? It doesn't feel like it's there. This movie completely shows how bad it can get when you focus entirely too much on CGI.
Yeah, I'm with you. The CGI is very clean, and it goes back to what I said last week. I feel like we were trying. George Lucas Studios was trying to show off the technology of the time, just like they did in the 70s, in late 70s, early 80s. And that's great. Be all about being a forerunner with the technology. That's fantastic. But there's a thing called moderation. You know, you can be gluttonous for your medium that you're working with, and too much is sometimes a bad thing.
Time for I did capture this out because I love it. There you go. So if you're driving in your car right now, I hope you didn't just crash, but I do like that little part.
Did you find out how they made the sound?
I Googled it, and I found where the Ben, I can't remember his name, the guy that was the sound designer for this, basically it was the same. He wanted to make like an explosion for the original movies, but he couldn't find a place for it. But basically it's some of the same processes he used to make the TIE Fighter sound. It's like striking, steel cables and cables and steels and things like that,
Yeah.
So, all right. I'm always fascinated by sound design and stuff. I kind of wish I'd have been able to do that as a thing. But I didn't.
Foley work?
Yeah. I got to do a little bit of it in college for one of my projects, and it was a lot of fun. But, and I did a little bit when I did my internship, but it was nothing like that at all. We did car commercials and bad teen drama. There's not a lot of Foley work in bad teen dramas, but that's all right. Time for this.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
Just like any Star Wars movie, there's going to be a ton of trivia, so I'm going to try to read through this as quickly as I can. Just before Anakin goes to search for his mother on Tatooine, he has a conversation with Senator Amidala. The camera pans to their shadow as they talk, and Anakin's shadow resembles that of Darth Vader. According to the DVD commentary, the Vader-like shadow that Anakin cast was not a visual effect, but coincidence. Now, I read that before I watched that scene, and watched that scene like 3 times, mainly because I was trying to point out to my son that it looks like Vader. It doesn't look real. It looks fake. So,
oh really?
I don't know. I don't know who wrote that, but I don't mean the trivia. I mean like whoever said it on the commentary. I don't know. It seems
sus.
Yes. The entire aggressive negotiations conversation during the dinner scene between Anakin and Padmé was ad-libbed by Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman at General George Lucas's request, due to his not being happy with the romantic dialogue he wrote for the scene.
Imagine that.
I'm just impressed that he had the balls to tell somebody that he didn't like what he wrote.
He's got to be the worst romantic to his wife ever, because this man does not know how love works. I mean, he just doesn't know, and he doesn't know how men and women talk to each other to make it work. It's just I can't imagine what his love life would be like.
In all fairness, Sam, he spent his life creating a star fantasy. So yeah, I don't know that I don't know that his romantic language is quite up to speed.
I'm just saying. It's so poorly written. As Sean coughs his little head out. Poor guy.
The spin-off video game Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which came out in 2002, is a prequel to the film. Weird having a prequel to a movie that's a prequel, but whatever. It reveals how Jango Fett was chosen as the genetic model for the clone army. Jango Fett was hired, along with other bounty hunters, by Count Dooku to hunt down and eliminate Kamari Vosa, Dooku's former apprentice, which Jango Fett is successful in doing. Count Dooku revealed that bounty hunter was a test, that the bounty hunt was a test, and that the bounty hunter was succeeded in killing her, would go on with Count Dooku to Kamino to be cloned, which Jango Fett agreed on the condition, blah, blah. So that's what's confusing. So the video game is telling me that Count Dooku was in on the creation of the clone army.
The clones.
So then why does later in this movie, Count Dooku said, how did they amass a clone army so quickly?
I don't think he's on the same page all the way through.
Or now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe he was saying that to the people in the room, but he knew all along, he always knew the plan was that they would be a clone army. Maybe people that are listening to the show are saying that, like, yes. So maybe that was it. Maybe Dooku was in on it. Maybe he knew there was going to be a creation of a clone army, and he helped do it. Maybe he was Cypher Dyas. I don't know.
Maybe he was Lord Farquaad. But it could just be dementia.
I don't know.
How old was he? He was an older actor in this movie. How old was he? Do you know?
I don't.
I think that was something that was talked about when this came out, that he was quite older when this came out.
Well,
what about... There's that conversation that he has, and he mentions...
He's 80. He was 80 when they made this.
Yeah.
Well, he mentions Qui-Gon and how he wish he could talk to Qui-Gon and give her his advice. Like, what's that all about?
Well, I think that's just a jab at Obi-Wan just to try to rile him up.
I don't know. I mean, because I did read something about in the trivia that Dooku thinks that Qui-Gon would have joined him because Qui-Gon was such a firm believer in the Force and not necessarily the Temple or the Jedi Order.
The old folks home.
The old folks home. And that Qui-Gon would have seen what had happened to the Jedi and how they had become basically ineffective and how, basically under their watch allowed a civil war to happen. I mean, we have to be honest. As awesome as Yoda is, they all kind of sucked at their jobs. Just kind of saying. So, anyway. Actors auditioned for the part of Anakin Skywalker include Ryan Felipe, Micah Collins, Paul Walker, Colin Hanks, Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, James Vanderbeek, Joshua Jackson, Eric Christian Olsen, Eric Von Deeten, Chris Klein, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Jonathan Brandis.
Oh, God. Could you imagine some of those guys in this role? Leonardo DiCaprio, he's an Oscar winner times over.
I don't know.
I can't imagine they would have approved of this script.
I could.
Heath
Ledger.
You think they would have walked away from the project?
Yeah,
Ryan
I
Felipe,
think so.
I could see in this. I could see Heath Ledger. I don't think Christian Bale would work.
No.
No one knew.
Although
who
he
Colin
is
Hanks
whiny
was.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Christopher Lee couldn't. Look at the other actors: Christopher Lee, Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor. They couldn't save this. It doesn't matter who you're going to put in there for Anakin. Like, it's just doomed.
Well,
but to me, Anakin is the worst part of the movie.
Well, and to finish the trivia, in the end, Hayden Christensen got the part primarily because he and Natalie Portman looked good together. Do they? Because he's attractive. He's an attractive dude. Even go look at IMDb. Look at those prom pictures. They look great together. Okay, and the only Star Trek connection, I couldn't really find one because I didn't really look very hard, but in the trivia it says this is the only Star Wars movie to be released the same year as a Star Trek movie, Star Trek Nemesis. So, not really a Trek connection, but I don't really care. I don't really want Trek associated with this movie. Okay, I'm going to play this real quick. Our good friend Stephen Everett has a new album coming out, and I'm going to play this for him, and then we're going to go straight into... wait, did I play the trivia sounder? Yeah, I did. Okay, time for this.
Hey, Cheapseat Review Nation. This is friend of the podcast, Steve Everett. Maybe you've heard my song as the intro to Cheapseat Reviews, but I've got a new record, Little Wins, and it's out everywhere worldwide. You can find out more at steveeverett.net, and I'd love to have you listen. Thanks a lot.
We were talking about your weekend when we should have been listening.
That's right, buddy.
Yep, and I will say I have downloaded the entire album. I bought it off of iTunes, and it is a good album. It really is.
And in fairness to Stephen, we haven't used his song as our intro for about 240 episodes, but we did used to use one of his songs, and it was really good. Time. Yeah, we did that. Here we go.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Top 3. So we're just going to do what we did last week because it was kind of fun. We're going to do top 3 things we would fix, or 3 things we would fix in this movie to maybe make it a little bit better or at least more enjoyable. And Eric, since you are our guest, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, interesting. All right. So, I guess number 1, just remove the whole factory scene.
Yes.
That's just not necessary. And C-3PO while you're at it. Just get him out. Another thing, I think fixing the editing. So I think a lot of the typical kind of like Star Wars cutscenes and jumping from, say, like the Anakin Padmé scenes and then back to Obi-Wan and Jango, it's very jarring. If you were to just, well, like when I watch the movie, I just always skip all the Anakin and Padmé scenes and just go right to Obi-Wan and Jango all the way through. It works way better. So, I don't know. Just big, longer scenes, I think, would work way better. And then just a new director would be perfect.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I mean, right. The bones of it, the story, I think, is really good, but Lucas just doesn't know how to tell it.
And I really think that a lot of his motivation, and I hate to say this because I'm probably going to be, tarred and feathered by some hardcore Star Wars fans, but I really think some of his motivation in these movies was, driven by merchandising and, what can we do to make a buck off of this?
Yeah.
You take Jar Jar, for example. I mean, that was clearly a character that he wanted to be beloved by children, and we wanted stuffed Jar Jars everywhere. But just tell us a good story.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Andrew. We're going out of order, but it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Number 1, that's my number 1. Drop the droid humor. Drop the first season of Clone Wars humor. Stop trying to be funny for the sake of get a real comedian to write your lines for you. And George Lucas, stop trying to be a comedy writer and a love scene writer. It's not your forte, my friend. More attacking of the clones. I think that's already been said. If you're going to call it Attack of the Clones, then by God, let them do some attacking. And then Make me care about these characters. Make me care. I don't care about them. I mean, they're poorly developed and poorly written for and poorly acted, and I don't think it's because they're bad actors. I think it's the direction they were given. So that's where I stand.
All right, Sam.
All right. I have got basically, this movie needs a fish out of water, right? We need a character to experience this world, experience the Jedi Council, experience all this sort of stuff for the first time with us and be explained some of these things to this character. It suffers like the first movie where there really isn't a main protagonist that they follow. And we don't want to follow Anakin. He's annoying. We don't want to follow Obi-Wan because he's always complaining. There's no one in this movie that we want to hang around with. And it's lacking because of that. I've got another thing, cut another 45 minutes out of this sucker. Cut cut the factory, cut some of these dialogues, cut some of this stuff and really simplify the story and get down to the nuts and bolts. There's so many awkward glances that just don't need to be there. That it's just bad. And then my last one, and it just rewrite it. Rewrite it. Just toss it out, throw it out the window, set it on fire, and start anew.
Do you think? I know I've already kind of asked this question, but do you think that if Lucas could have a do-over on this, that he would redo these prequels with a different story?
I don't know.
That's different writing.
Yeah, that's hard.
I really don't think I don't think he thinks he's in the wrong. I don't think to him these are not bad.
But surely by now, though, seeing the responses from everyone, and
look what he did with the original trilogy, all that special edition stuff.
Yeah. It only made it worse.
No,
I just
yeah, one of my greatest wishes in life, if I had a genie and I could, literally it's like one of the wishes would be, now that Disney owns Fox, let Disney release the theatrical versions of the films for release, like to purchase or whatever, to view, because people that are older than 35 would buy the hell out of those. Because
they would make so much money.
Yeah, because I want to own a 4K version of the original movie, but in the
theatrical version.
Yeah, the theatrical version. I don't need to see all that extra stuff. It doesn't matter. One of the funniest things I've ever seen, though, is when the Force Awakens trailer came out. They came out with the George Lucas version, where they just put a bunch of shit in front of the camera.
I've seen that.
It's pretty great. Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, like when the Falcon is spinning, and in the original, there's only 2 TIE fighters are coming at him. Like in the George Lucas version, there's like 4,000 TIE fighters coming at him. It's pretty great. I like it a lot. All right, mine, right? My fixes, my top 3. I did earn the relationship between Padme and Anakin. Make it more clear why there's a civil war happening, and make it more clear why there are clones.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's a lot of, we're just supposed to just take it at face value. Oh, there's clones because there's Jango Fett, and like the fact that the video game has to tell you how he was chosen. Like you would think that they would choose somebody that was like, I don't know, not a terrible person. But I guess.
Did any listeners give us suggestions?
Yes, we had several. So, well, I don't know if they're listeners, but people on Twitter certainly did. Jacob Marley is Dead podcast. Says,
I was going to say, I think he is.
Yeah, he was dead to begin with. Responded, I mean, the obvious choice would be the director. When you have a movie full of world-class actors and cutting-edge effects house that still comes out feeling wooden and clunky, there is only one place to blame for that blame can flow. Yeah. Josh from the Twist My Arm podcast, who we're going to have on next week, Josh from the Twist My Arm podcast, says, the love story. Cut that shit down like 5 minutes and give us more Django and Camino.
5 minutes.
And that's what I said. Only 5 minutes? I responded, only 5 minutes. And he said, I really like the prequels. Cheesy acting and all. There isn't a lot I would change. Boy, he's in for a treat next week.
Well, episode 3 is the best one of the 3.
I agree with that.
It
doesn't mean much, but it
the
is
least
better
bad.
than.
It's the least awful.
Yeah, the least bad.
Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable said the actor playing Anakin to basically any other actor. And so I responded, yeah, we kind of felt the same way with Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets. And then he said, I didn't attempt that. And then the conversation, I lost the control of the thread from there. So, because at that point, Cameron jumped in from the Green Shirt podcast, and they started talking about Dune and some other stuff. So there you go. And then, lastly, Jeff Jarvis, who is a new listener, who is one of my coworkers, who said to me the other day that our show is smooth like a nice cold Mountain Dew.
Ooh.
Yeah. He said we are a smooth show. So, Jeff, I appreciate that. And that was very nice. Jeff says less whining young adult dialogue, or less whiny young adult dialogue. And Melissa from last week says all the things besides Obi-Wan.
Every of the things.
All of the things.
All of them.
Besides
everything and all.
Besides Obi-Wan, and maybe mute all of Anakin's dialogue.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you all for participating in that.
Absolutely.
Time to do this.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
We need to give this movie a score from 0 to 10, and I'm going to let Andrew go first.
I don't remember what I gave last week's episode.
Would you like me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Well, I will once my you gave it a 4.7.
Okay. Well, I don't know that I like this one better or worse than the first one. So I'm going to give this one a 4.7.
All right. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Eric.
Let's go with the 4.2.
All right.
Yep.
4.2. Sam, do you want a comparison to last week?
What did I give last week?
3.
A 3. Yeah, this one, it has the Star Wars name on it, so that has something to go for it.
It does.
So I'm going to give it a 1.1.
Oh, wow.
I hate this movie. I hate it. I hate it. Now that I've seen it twice in a month, I feel like I need to take a shower.
Oh, my gosh. The last time you went that low on a film, I'm just scrolling back, was Velvet Buzzsaw.
I'd rather watch Velvet Buzzsaw than this one.
Yeah, you gave it a 1.3. Oh, man, that's I'm still scrolling back. That's impressive. Oh, wait, the next time you gave something that near that low was Birdemic. And you were the only one to give it a score. The rest of us gave it zeros. You gave it a point.
Yeah.
You gave it a 0.25.
Yeah, it I might have to lower my but at least for Birdemic, you can get drunk and watch it and have fun.
I can't go there. Birdemic is literally the worst thing I've ever seen. It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's so bad. It's bad. There's no bad. It's good. It's just bad.
Says you.
Yeah, and obviously the guy I argued on Twitter about it too, which was a lot of fun. I gave episode 1 a 5. I think Phantom Menace is actually a little bit worse than this, so I'm gonna give this one a 5.1.
Oh dear Lord!
I think that the Star Warsy parts in this movie are better than the Star Warsy parts in the first movie.
Disagree.
Well, okay, that's fine. I mean, this is not a hill I'm willing to die on. Not this movie. So I don't feel like I don't want to defend it. So That all having been said, I did leave a spot for the soundtrack grade. It's still great, except I think a little overkill.
Overused. And isn't that crazy that we have to say that?
It is weird.
For John.
Yep, there goes his controller again. That's great. Last thing I'm going to do real quick, the quote game. I'll have what she's having. That's the quote game. Go enjoy that one. I'll have what she's having. Next week, we're doing episode 3, which is Revenge of the Sith. We're doing that with Josh from the Twist My Arm podcast. I'm very excited for that. That'll be a lot of fun. Eric, it's been a blast having you on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this shitty movie.
Yes, I'm glad you did. Both enjoy the podcast and the shitty movie. And is there a way? Do you want people to know how to find you on the internet or no? You don't. If you don't, it's fine.
To find me on the internet?
Yeah, you have like a Twitter handle that you do, or
anything you want to plug?
Yeah.
I have no footprint on the internet.
Oh, that's cool.
So, good luck.
But his handprints are massive.
I'm not even sure how we're even communicating right now. It's really interesting.
Yeah, right?
No, that's fine. That's very fine. In fact, I was surprised as hell is that Melissa has a Twitter account and she started following us on Twitter, which was cool. And what is that Twitter account? Well, that is @CheapseatCast. You can also go to facebook.com/CheapseatReviews. CheapseatReviews@gmail.com is our website. That's not our website. It's our email address. Our website is cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com, which has links to all of the other social media things that you want, as well as all 340 whatever other episodes that we have. Go back and listen. Be like my good friend Jeff, who is now listening back to some of our older episodes and said that we were wrong on Blazing Saddles. And
okay.
Yeah. We mentioned that there was a couple of moments in Blazing Saddles that weren't funny. It was kind of dry and dull. And
okay.
And he said that Blazing Saddles is like one of his top favorite films of all time, and that we're wrong, and that's fine. And I said, well, maybe we were all drunk at the time. I don't know. So anyway, with that having been said, be like Jeff and leave us some reviews and some comments. iTunes is the best way to do that. But if you want to just hit us up on Twitter or Facebook Messenger, I guess you can message us on Facebook. If that's the easiest way to get a hold of us, that's the best way. We want your feedback. We want to know what you guys are thinking, and we want to know what movies you would like us to review, because we've got all summer with basically nothing. I've got people lined up to go to guest host, but with no movies. So if there's something you want us to do, please let us know, and we will try to do it if it's streaming.
Oh, somebody find us something really bad. So bad that it's going to make us mad.
Have you guys done Killer Clowns from Outer Space yet?
We've not. We've not. We do have on the list. We do have Speed 2 Cruise Control. Someone did request that, so we're doing that.
I already hate that person.
We're doing that sometime this week or this summer. Yeah. So anyway, that's the show. Thank you so much for listening. So on behalf of Eric and Sam and Andrew, this is Sean saying thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
This is Cheap Seat Reviews.